Okay, well, that's just going to be political. But I'd like us to stick with our topic, which is achieving MDGs. Now, the issue of middlemen brings to bear how well have we developed our value chain, in agricultural businesses in Nigeria. Not just agriculture, because it's not just about improving on agriculture now. Value chains cutting across all sectors of the economy to be able to unearth the potentials, in transforming, our resources into finished products without having to spend so much on transportation in the locality where some products are being produced. If we have other businesses, other companies springing up to be able to transform them into processed or finished goods, how well have we been able to achieve that?
Well, I think the federal government are currently thinking of, I think about 4 zones or 6 zones they want to set up cassava processing plants, I think also rice milling plants within the 6 geopolitical zones. But I think they need to go beyond that. I know Ebonyi state government is in the process. I mean, what I'm saying, and these are not political, these are pure facts. Anybody who has done well, we should give the person credit, so it's encourage development in this country. I know Ebonyi state government actually in the process of setting up rice milling factories within some localities in their state. And basically what they want to do is that at those centers, communities around those communities can actually, those centers can actually produce their rice, bring them for parboiling, the husking, the stoning, and proper bagging. And that will increase the values that the rural areas are enjoying. But you also need to support that with road infrastructure. If they lack complete road infrastructure, they cannot move their goods around. The federal government is doing silos around the country, and the silos are supposed to be storage facilities for excess production. But you need to go to those rural areas and take those products from them. And buy those products at commercial rates and not at prices that are completely below the market. And take them to the silos and store them until, one of the greatest challenges the rural areas have is the loss of agricultural products because of lack of storage. So if you look at, because agricultural products in Nigeria are seasonal, maize production takes place within certain seasons. And any maize that is not stored properly will be eaten up by weavers and all these pests. So the rural communities need, 1, infrastructure to take their goods to the market. 2, they need a market support in the form of an off-taker, somebody who takes their products when they have surplus production and stores them in national silos. And then those silos could be released, a product from those silos could be released to the market when there is shortage.
There's quite a lot to talk about, Johnson, I must say. But let's look at the issue of achieving decent employment for women, men, and young people. How would you rate Nigeria?
That's, you're talking of gender equality.
It's not just equality, but having to create employment opportunities for women, for young and for young men, and for young people.
Yes, that comes under the goal of gender equality. In the case of Nigeria, because there are 2 aspects here, there are actually about 3 objectives in that goal of gender equality. And one is that the discrimination between the sexes in terms of educational enrollment. In terms of, if you look at the southern part of the country, there's almost no discrimination between the female and the male gender in terms of educational enrollment. But you still have a lot of that in the north. I know the federal government is trying to set up some schools,
special schools,
special schools for female children in the north. But the key thing is that you have to look at the disparity between what you have in the north, or the core north, and what you have in the south. In terms of in the south has achieved almost parity. For every 10 boys that are enrolled, about 9 girls are enrolled in the south. Okay, but you don't have the same proportion in the north. So we still need to work towards improving that. But in terms of employment, also in the southern part of the country, there's almost no discrimination. I mean, if there is, it's not obvious between the sexes in terms of employment. You could actually have some slowdown in terms of career progression among the females. But that's also because, that's also biological. And why they say biological is that, well, that's a topic for another discussion. When a woman goes on maternity leave and spends a long time there, you don't expect her to come back and get promoted. I mean, but I don't want to go into that because you have to end the promotion. But in any case, in terms of entry point in employment, I don't think there's obvious differentiation among the female. Then if you talk of access to political positions, I think in the case of current government, the women folk are well represented at the federal cabinet.
Well represented.
Well represented at the federal cabinet. And you also see improvement in the number of female legislators. But like I said, in terms of discrimination, I think in the southern part of the country, the rate of discrimination is almost not obvious if it does exist. I mean, they can't rule it out completely.
All right, but let's move on to the issue of education. By 2015, all children can complete full course of primary schooling, both for girls and boys. What is our level of development in terms of achieving a universal primary education for all our children?
Well, let's look at the statistics, what the statistics say. Nigerian Bureau of Statistics says that at the end of 2012, that net enrollment in primary education, primary schools was 71%. Of that 71% national average, the urban areas accounted for about 89% or thereabouts, and the rural areas are still in the 60% category. So if you look at it, and also there's another report that says that we have about 80% literacy level among the youths, that at least 80% of Nigerians in their youths can read and write.
In what region? In the north, south?
That's global, that's nationwide.
Okay.
But there's a major difference when you come to the regions again. So the challenge you have with some of these achievement of these objectives is that they not seem to be lagging behind, particularly as we're having issues of insecurity in the northeast, and that may even worsen the situation. If you look at, we talk of that Nigeria has about 10 million school-age children that are not in school. That 10 million school-age children are not in school and mostly not. But that does not mean the government is not doing anything. There's an emergency education system the federal government is championing to encourage children who are roaming the streets to have some form of formal education. But we are not there. Would there be improvement if you compare where we were, and because as far back as 2003, our youth literacy level was about 66-67%, but we're now talking about 80%. But given that we are seeing some improvement, the key thing is that the Millennium Objective is that we should have all school-age children to have access to primary education by 2015. I don't see how we can achieve that. Today, Nigeria and Pakistan have the largest number of school-age children are not in school, but that is in terms of number, not necessarily in terms of proportion. But we're making progress, and the challenge you have is that there has to be the federal government has to continue to intervene in the northern part of the country to address the gap between the level of education attainment in the south and the north. Because today, you still have to contend with the issue of a lot of children who should be in school that are not in school in the northern part of the country. In the south, like I said, you've seen a lot of improvement, particularly in the urban areas. Hardly do you see children that should be of school age that are not in school. But there's also another factor you have to consider, the quality of that education. In some instances, the quality of primary education is very weak, although we are seeing some gradual improvement. But you need to address the issue of access to education and quality of education, so as to be sure that you don't have just people going to school for the sake of going to school without achieving any learning.